Hi, my name is Trevor. I'm a senior manager in the software as a service space. I switched from Constant Contact to Mailchimp, and for more reviews like this, click below. Both Constant Contact and Mailchimp allow us to stay in contact with the wide array of subscribers we have on our email lists. We're able to send both large batch campaigns to everybody as well as segmented automations where when a user matches certain behavioral criteria, they receive the appropriate email. That can be a welcome email for new users. It can be a re-engagement email for someone who hasn't opened something in a while. It can be a promo for something where a user has purchased recently. There's many different scenarios that you can try with these two different tools. So some of the main differentiators that caused us to make the switch to Mailchimp were the ability to better track e-commerce functions. When we were using Constant Contact, the only way that we could track e-commerce performance would be to use different UTM parameters that we had to set up manually and then dive into in Google Analytics. When we used Mailchimp, we were able to view revenue reporting directly in the product, as well as segment it by different types of users, where they were located, and demographic information about them. That was much more valuable to us, as it also allowed us to create and export different retargeting audiences for advertising purposes. One of the things that I did love about Constant Contact before we made the switch to Mailchimp was how easy it was to set up campaigns and send them almost in a newsletter type fashion. Mailchimp can do this as well. It's got a lot more frills to it. Constant Contact was very simple for if you were a lead generating business and you needed to keep in contact with your audience, or you had a newsletter that you were going to send out monthly. If you were going to do something more along those lines where awareness was more important than the actual deliverables or metrics from a given campaign, Constant Contact was great for that. We just needed something a little bit wider, and so that's why we ended up making a switch. So with both Constant Contact and Mailchimp and many of the email platforms out there today, at least the ones that aren't a very high-grade enterprise platform, they're very simple to set up. You can import an email list and allow it to run in the background to get processed and work on your first campaign and probably get it sent out within the same day. That's not too much of a stretch at all. And that's one of the beautiful things about these tools, where you're almost paying, on a monthly basis, and they plug in and integrate with many different platforms. Is they're set up so they're ready to go fast. That may mean they sacrifice some of the potential of a really large scale tool, but if you're working with a really, really large scale tool, you probably don't need to get that campaign put up and sent out within a day. If you're going to pick Constant Contact and Mailchimp in terms of setup speed, they're very similar and both of them are great. When it comes to picking which email sending platform you should be using, first question you should ask yourself is, what industry are you a part of? Are you part of an industry where e-commerce functionality really matters? That may then take some tools off the list. Are you in an industry where e-commerce functionality doesn't matter? You may add some tools to that list, and you may actually take some off that are more e-commerce heavy. Mailchimp's a little bit more e-commerce heavy. If I'm a lead generating business, that might not matter to me. Second thing that I'd consider is, how often am I going to be using the tool? Inherently, there's a price difference. Constant Contact, Mailchimp, they're in the roughly same realm. Klaviyo's a little bit more. SendGrid can be more than that, and there's ones that could cost even more than those. For the really, really high-end tools, unless you're a large enterprise business, you're not necessarily getting a suite of features that is going to make your small business much better. You might as well stick with the smaller one until you're ready to scale. So that's consideration number two. Like, what do you actually need, and how often are you going to use it? If I'm not going to use that tool on a really rigorous basis, then I don't really need the highest end tool. And Constant Contact and Mailchimp, they definitely fit that mold of not being the most expensive, but still having some great features. And then number three, just think about, how would I put this? Where do you want your business to go? Do you want your business to go towards a solution where you care about manual tracking? You care about breaking things down by campaigns, keywords, channels, all sorts of different things. Klaviyo or Constant Contact is excellent for that, because you can input all your own UTM parameters and track them in Google Analytics however you want. Or are you more interested in like, hey, let's get things sent out and just let the systems take care of reporting on their own? We'd rather, have a little bit less custom reporting, but the reporting can be done without any effort. Then Mailchimp is a slam dunk. It'd be the preferred method over Constant Contact. So I think those are great things to be thinking about here. What industry are you a part of? How rigorous does this tool need to be? How often are you going to use it? And then where do you really want things to go? Do you want the ability and the desire to get in the mud and come up with all your own stuff? Or do you want the reporting to just be done? You don't want to pay an analyst. You don't want to deal with an analytics engineer. Those are all going to be considerations that change which tools you should be looking at.